Okay, the topic is disruptive recruitment and using the right technology and channels for successful hires. So for this, I would like to call on stage. Please put your hands together for Mr. Abhishek Khare, DGM HR, Mankind Pharma. Can we have a huge round of applause for him? Mr. Amit Raina, Group L&D from Minda Corporation. Mr. Raj Gupta, author and GM HR from Tata Consultancy Services. Can we have a huge round of applause, everyone? Okay, the next one is Mr. Debasis Satpathy, the General Manager HR from NBCC India. I think till the time he is coming, let's proceed for our next member. Mr. Abhay Kapoor, Head HR and Admin from Suzuki Motor Gujarat. Okay, last but not the least, our moderator, please put your hands together for Jigna Bhanushali, HR Head from ACE Technologies Group. Can we have a huge round of applause for Ms. Jigna Bhanushali? Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us. So it's over to you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Cinex, for giving us this opportunity. So I would directly start. Today's topic for this panel is disruptive recruitment. How do we use the right technology and channels, the social platforms, to reach out to the right hires, right talent? Because recruitment is not a cakewalk, only we HR know. And in today's generation, it is not at all easy to attract employees. In earlier generation, it was kind of that you easily reach out to them, give them offers, and they are happily to join you. But today, they choose the company. They have 2, 3 offers in their hands, and then they will decide where they want to join. So I would here like to just get the expert advices from the veterans that we have here with us. I'll start with Mr. Raj Gupta, who is GM at TCS and an author too. So yes, sir. Over to you.
Am I audible? It's working great. Thanks, Jigna. I think when I look at it, pre-COVID scenario itself, this social mobility, clouds, analytics was taking center stage alongside ML, chatbots, etc. But what has happened after COVID? Technology has become commoditized. Earlier, a bit of choice existed, at least for mid to smaller players. But now there is no choice. You need to be on technology. You have to leverage technology. When I look at largely the IT world, which I am part of, we have roughly 5 million workforce that works in IT sector. And even if you don't hire freshers and take on an average 20% backfill as because of attrition, etc., you have roughly 1 million people to place. So I don't think there is a choice left to drive simplification, to drive speed and scale. So you need to leverage software for that. So software has become critical. With the software, the mushrooming of social networking platforms, that is another key thing. And the job boards, which used to be a major factor, almost a decade back, now account for only 10 to 15% when we look at larger industry, because 50% of the hiring that happens on an average in the industry is happening through the referrals. And for that, internal incentive mechanisms are there. And when you look at it, the direct portal, etc., the 10 to 20% from there, and then the social networking. Now, big shift that I have seen now, earlier it was resume coming in, and then somebody would look at those resumes, and there would be a manual process. So if you look at it largely in the industry, it's a 10% conversion. So out of 1,000 great people, we kind of hire, 100 odd people. So it's a 10% conversion there. So that's a major shift. So one of the things that I have seen, people don't use just resume as a part of their personality. Social networking site has become an extension of their personality. And recruiters are also making sure that they check the footprints. So I was looking at some of the studies, 60% of the recruiter make sure that they are checking on the footprints from a digital space. 93% of the recruiters are there on LinkedIn, 55% plus are there on Facebook, and roughly similarly 50% are on Twitter, etc. So that is a big change, big shift, wherein I don't look at my resume, that 1 or 2 page paper, but extension and leverage of social media as a part of my personality. So those are my initial thoughts. We'll talk as we move.
Okay. So, Mr. Abhay, if you want to add on to this, like what are the trends going on in the industry and how you are or your company is hiring into with the new contemporary methods that I would say.
Good morning, and thanks for inviting me, for sharing my thoughts on this very relevant topic. We all know that the era, no matter, you may keep hearing that there is a great era of resignation, or then immediately after that, there is a era of layoff or whatever, but business continues and war for talent is going to continue, no matter whatever is the situation. And when we talk about war for talent, every organization, if they have to remain competitive in their business, they need to continuously raise the bar of talent. And how do you raise the bar of talent? I think that is the whole purpose, where you need to keep on innovating in the way you are hiring, the way you are scouting for the talent, and the way you are having your recruitment process and system in your organization. I think that is most important aspect. And having seen the recruitment very close in my profession, being in the HR for last 30 years, I think it has evolved a lot. Right from getting a pen and paper resume, and then reading all the resume, and then making the notes on the spreadsheet, and then presenting it to the management that how they are getting shortlisted, to today using the technology like ATS for the resume shortlisting, to using the chatbots for the pre-screening, and using, like Raj said, social media and other aspects of knowing the individual before they are hired. Not only what they have done in their professional circle, but also your social media also reflects that what kind of individual you are and how you will be a culture fit for the organization. I think technology has given a lot of support in identifying the right talent in the organization, and we are continuously evolving around that. Virtual interviews, even using the VR and AR for the interviews. Then having a very robust recruitment process, right from receiving or sourcing the candidate till the rollout of the offer. How seamless, by the use of technology, you are managing that at the each interface, whether it is candidate experience, interview experience, or hiring manager experience, or recruiter experience, or your channel partner experience. I think in this entire process, everybody whosoever is part of this recruitment process, they must get a experience, a wow experience, that yes, this is the organization or this is the role which I would like to take up. So how you are able to sell the role and the organization to the candidate, and how you are able to create the buzz in the market about the brand and about the what is on the offer through the using of technology, social media, networking sites, or your engagement platforms, or maybe like the conferences like this. That is the latest trend in the recruitment, that you have to tap the passive talent. You need not to tap the talent who is searching job, but how to tap the passive talent and bring them on board. I think that is the beauty of using technology in today's era. Maybe I can contribute more. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, as rightly said, that we have to continuously raise the bar of the talent. So, I would like Mr. Abhishek from Mankind to share your thoughts, your expertise, like how you are going about digitally changing and going for digital platforms, tools, methods which are currently used or you have been using in your experiences to get the right talents.
Thank you, Jigna, and thank you, everyone. So, recruitment is a challenge for each and every recruiter. Since the beginning, I'm talking about the 2003, I have started my career, so I've seen that people are struggling in recruitment. Previously, we are asking candidate to send the CV, and we screening the CV, like thousands of CV we are screening, and we share the CVs with our respective HOD, and again HOD put the remark on particular paper, then share back. So this is what we have seen. But in digital world, we have seen a very easy platform we are using, like SuccessFactors, LinkedIn, other social media, Naukri.com. But still there is a gap. We have seen that you all must be using LinkedIn. There is a one portal, easy apply, then again you have to apply from the organization particular portal, where you have to fill again each and every detail. So we are working on that, any employee should click or copy the particular link, or we can get the entire data. It reduces the carbon footprint also, because India is the largest producer of carbon footprint, and we as a HR, if we think about the carbon footprint, then we can also contribute in the society. So we are working on this. Being a pharma company, we are working closely to reduce the carbon footprint from the HR aspect. So we are reducing the paper cost also. We are reducing the paperwork. So we have created that kind of environment where each and every recruiter or the HOD can get the data from the digital platform. So this is what I want to say.
So how do you decide? Like, as earlier panelists have also said, that there are many tools or softwares upcoming in market. So how do you decide that this will be the correct method or tool or the software where we can channelize and get the correct talents, or reach out to correct talents, I would say?
That's a very tough question, because we HR only facilitate and only provide the CVs to respective department, but there are multiple tools which synchronize from particular word and get the data. So like in SuccessFactors, in Naukri.com, and there are other tools also in People's Connect and PeopleSoft, where we have seen we are getting a lot of close data as per the JD requirement, and we are sharing it with the respective HOD.
Thank you, Abhishek. So the next question goes to Amit, who is from Mind Corporation. How do you measure ROI for recruitment?
Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks, Jigna, for giving me this opportunity to answer this question. I think ROI, return investment, is a very interesting topic for all of us, be it recruitment, be it any other section of HR. I heard everybody here. I heard Venkat also talking about artificial intelligence, using chatbots. I heard my fellow colleagues talking about war of talent and how recruitment as a function is changing. The topic, in fact, talks about that is how we are creating a disruptive recruitment function within our own organizations. I think it's a food for thought for all of us as HR professionals. Are we actually uh, accepting this major change, major shift within our mindset that we are there to disrupt the industry, we are there to disrupt the ecosystem, and first of all, we have to accept this change. Because when we will accept this mindset shift change within ourselves, then only we can think of terms like return on investment or any other thing. And therefore, we have to first of all uh, understand this basic fact that whenever there is a major shift in a technology sector or probably adapting technology in any section, any function, we have to first of all get used to these processes within ourselves. Like we're talking about using different softwares, different products, starting from the screening process, starting from identifying people with the right skill set, automating processes of virtual screening and all that. But then, like what Jigna was asking about the ROI, I like to mention a couple of things which organizations are doing nowadays. So first of all, when we go ahead and try to look for the best of the best talent outside our organizations within the industry sector, we look for somebody who can adjust, who can adapt to our culture, adapt to our values. So therefore, I think the first return on our investment will be the person whom we are hiring, is he or she able to adapt to our culture and values? Because if our new hires are not able to do that, they will not be able to stay with your success journey. They will move on after some amount of time. That is number one. Number two, as HR professionals, as TA professionals, it becomes very important for us not only to hire, but also look for the first 30, 60, and 90 days journey. Most of the TA professionals, they miss on this important aspect. They simply have metrics on their hand, which is cost per hire and time to fill. So, like we're talking about that, we have a requirement from respective HODs, respective functions, and we only focus on that, yes, I have to hire the most, I would say, inexpensive talent and in the shortest possible amount of time. But after that, we just forget, we hand over the person to our respective functions and we leave them. So first 30, 60, 90 days, alignment with the organization and being productive, very, very important. So that leaves us to another question. Do we have a measure to see the productivity of these new hires at any level? We might have some productivity measures for people who are getting hired at the basic ground level. I mean to say, people who are at associates or executive level, because they're actually filling up your production pipelines. But then what about the middle level leadership? What about the senior level leadership? What are the kind of metrics which you have created within your organizations to measure their productivity? Third, and I think this is a very critical for any organization, whenever we are hiring a talent, are we actually looking this person to be a part of your success journey? So are you actually visualizing this person to be a future leader within your organization? So we are always saying that we are hiring talent, but then I think it's too early to say that you have hired a talent. So you have to culminate that journey of hiring a specialist or an expert from a specific domain, and then you have to move that person in growing as a talent within the organization. So a couple of these metrics can be probably thought of.
Great. It was really thoughtful advice that you have given, that analyzing productive measures is very important. That are we hiring the right talent and what kind of product? Yes, it is going to take some long term, not immediate basis, it's going to come out. But still, that has to be followed by all the HRs. That will help us in long term, and maybe some analysis for hiring in the future aspects also. So, sir, Mr. Abhay, if you can also throw some light on the similar basis, like with your experiences over the years, how you have been able to retain hire and then retain the talent pool?
So, hiring and retaining, I think two uh, side of the same coin. And when you hire a person, you definitely hire a person with a very long-term vision that yes, this person will come in the organization, and you already have some plan or something in your uh, uh, system how this person will grow in the organization. So here the major thing comes once the person is onboarded, right from his experience as a candidate to his experience as a onboarding, and then from there, how, like he rightly said, initial 90 days. I think that is the most important part when a new joinee builds his culture and builds his engagement with the organization. What he builds in initial 90 days, I think that remains for a very long time in the organization. So how the stakeholders are engaging with the new joinee, how the hiring manager is engaging, how the skip levels are engaging, and what kind of experience you are creating for him in the organization. That is a very strong founding journey of that person in the organization. So now today, as we talked about recruitment, a lot of automation has happened in recruitment. Similarly, especially the organizations with a very large workforce, it is not possible to create the engagement forums without using the technology. So there are many technological tools and many reward and recognition platforms which are now available with the use of technology, AI, and their integration with your main HRMS, that you can very easily engage with the employees. Then biggest thing is that how are you reading the pulse of the employees? Not only employees, how are you reading the pulse of their relationship in the organization? How are you reading the pulse of their motivation in the organization? So gone are the days when we used to do once a year or once in 2 years survey of employee engagement or employee satisfaction. Today we have to move to the real-time engagements. There are tools available which will throw and which will keep on gauging the perception and the mindset of the employees and their managers in the organization. And with the use of technology, AI, you can keep on creating the dashboards and keep on giving the feedback to the employee that how his overall parameters on different part of engagement are changing or are progressing or are deteriorating on not only weekly or monthly basis, but on the day-to-day basis. And it creates a huge impact. Today, if I am as an employee dealing with 5 stakeholders and I did something which they didn't like, and maybe they will have opportunity on my engagement platform to rate me or put my rating down, maybe. Today I am the brightest star, and tomorrow the management may see that, okay, this guy has done something which is pulling him down. So immediately HR or the manager has to take some action and give the feedback and find out that what went wrong with this person. So this is the reality now today in most of the global organization, where you are not getting evaluated or on the monthly or quarterly or annual basis, but you are getting evaluated on day-to-day basis. And same is the engagement. Your engagement level is also being checked on day-to-day basis. So it's not about now doing the time of exit interviews. It is about not even about stay interviews. That is also become little old story. Now it is about tracking your motivation on daily basis in the organization.
Thank you, sir. Very well said. So, sir, Mr. Raj, I would ask, you are majorly from IT background. So how IT itself is, IT and ITES, as you said, and it is evolving too fast. So how are you attracting and hiring talent? What platforms you are using for reaching out to the talent, like freshers or the experienced guys? what are the tools that you are using?
I think first of all, the challenge that I see when we were talking about great resignation and I was looking at HR, now recruiting the recruiter itself was such a big challenge. Okay, and we expect recruiter to have that 30, before 30, 60, 90 days is pre-engagement. So their engagement itself was a problem because the moment we get them in and then we just dump stuff. So what I've seen when you look at hardware part of the organization in terms of policies, practices, systems, some organizations are very strong on that. They have the best platforms, best integration. But when it comes to software, and we were talking about retention, and when I look at the software of the organization, if you involve, so I call it I plus R, if you involve and respect, that will lead to your retention. Now, are we building that psychological contracting is the question that is kind of confronting us, particularly in a hybrid work environment. So this software aspect is something that we need to work on to integrate them, to kind of culturally assimilate them in our setups. So that's one area that I see is a challenge, software versus hardware. Recruiters, I was surprised that there is a higher attrition in HR world than what I was seeing in the larger print media for majority of the organization. Now, are we paying attention? Are we talking about it? I don't come across any conference seminars where they are focused on HR attrition. So what I've seen, if we cannot take care of our set of people, so people expect me to take care of, let's say one of my employee will take care of 500 people in our kind of setup where there is a scale. So if that person I cannot take care, then there's no point. So it's not about policies, practices, it's about that respect, that involvement, building that psychological contracting. I think platform, as far as platforms are concerned, it's similar, which is commoditized now. Majority of the people, whether it is a organization with a $100 billion market capitalization or $1 billion market capitalization or a revenue, they have access to all that. Technology is commoditized. So it's not that you have an access issue, it's the software part. Now, second thing that I come across, we are trying to run 21st century practices with 20th century mindset because it used to work for them. And people want to control, people want to supervise, people want to manage people. And sometimes I ask, यार अपने बच्चे सुन रहे हैं क्या हमारी मतलब? 13 साल का बच्चा वो आपकी बात सुन रहा है मतलब, and then you want to supervise the larger world. So how do we change that mindset from a supervisor to facilitator? People care a shit about it now, whether you're a vice president, executive director, or whatever. They will respect you, for what you bring to the table. So you command respect for your disposition and not position. And I still see, people are not learning that. People are not taking their learning at home to office. Because their 14, 13 years kid is not listening to them and they're trying to impose it on an adult guy. Who cares a shit? Because he is with, so this digital natives that we have got born after 2000, they are not worried about it. Unless you show them that you care. You have to prove it to them rather than vice versa. So they get bored very fast. Like I have my own daughter's example. She was working with EY, 6 months, and she says, I want to quit. I said, what happened? You wanted to work with them? Says, I don't think I am cut out for corporate. Okay, I said, okay, do it. So they are not like this. Today's generation is different. They want to take risk. We used to mitigate risk. We used to, or risk averse. I think my journey has moved from mitigation of risk, risk averse to risk mitigation. Risk taking is not part of it. But this generation, they are risk takers. They experiment. So that is the change that we need to see in the larger social spectrum and behave accordingly to strengthen our software of the organization. So those are few of my thoughts.
Maybe I just want to share some experience that how the generational gap or the 20th century versus 21st century creating some kind of dilemma in our recruitment process. So with the use of all the AI and technology, we have digitized almost entire recruitment process where there's one need not to use his pen and paper. Okay, but one day my TA head came to me, sir, I have a problem. There's a one interviewer, he says that he want candidate form to be filled up in his own handwriting, as earlier we used to do. I said, what is his problem? So then we called that interview, pretty senior person, so around almost my age. So I said, what is the issue? Now we have digitized the entire process. We are becoming a paperless organization. Why are you asking pen and paper? Then he said, I'm a handwriting analyst and I judge the candidate through his handwriting. so then we said, okay, then you give us some case study or some note or something, some subject to write to the candidate. He will write and submit, you can evaluate through that, but don't disturb the digitization. So these are a lot of like old generation versus new generation and mindset of last century implementing in the current scenario. So we have those kind of challenges. So just that incident, I think that is very right perspective.
Thank you very much. It was a very well said part that we have to manage the young generation along with the veterans with experience and adapting the tools which evolve. We HR have to evolve, but thankfully we, as said, human touch is required everywhere, and thankfully we all will continue to have our job secure. So in the parallel world, like in ITS, now if I shift to manufacturing, so Mr. Abhishek, you come from a manufacturing background. So I would like to know, okay, the white collar people would be using the LinkedIn, the social platforms, Naukri, this, that, so it is easier to approach. But how do you approach blue collar employees? Because that is on a higher side for a factory setup, for a manufacturing setup. So please, if you can throw some light on it.
Very good question. We can easily approach to white collar employee, but it's very difficult to approach to blue collar employee. So in period of time from last 10 years, we have seen the WhatsApp is a very good tool. Each and everyone has WhatsApp. Whether you are talking about the blue collar employee, they have very good Android phone or iPhone, which you don't have. They have very expensive phone. They are using very expensive phone. I don't know how, but they are using it. So, there are a lot of consultants also. They have particular group and podcast. So you can share the position with them and they can easily circulate these position to particular employee, and you can reach up to the very junior level employee and you can get the response within 5 minutes. So this is what we are doing right now nowadays. And apart from this, Facebook. If you talk about me, we have a plant in Ponta Sahib and people are coming from a village from the Himachal Pradesh. They have very flourish Facebook profile. And if you publish any vacancies on Facebook, they immediately apply. So Facebook and WhatsApp, this is the one basic tool we are using.
Thank you. So yes, I agree that they all use smartphones. So that is a correct platform there where we can reach out to them. So Mr. Amit, regarding the social platform, like we all use marketing, advertisements, posting jobs on social media websites. So how effective do you think that reach to the correct talent? Or do we get, like if we are sending mail to mass mailers, like to sending, and but are it relevant, the resumes that we receive, are that relevant enough to hire them, or how does it work?
Right. So my thoughts here will be that it depends majorly on the kind of positions or the kind of recruitment we want to do and what kind of platforms you want to use. So we have talked a lot about it in terms of, you mentioned about mass mailers, or you want to promote a specific job on LinkedIn, or you want to use job portals, or you want to run marketing campaigns. It first of all depends on the kind of recruitment we have to go for, whether it is at a blue collar or a white collar, or you want to hire a leadership position. And many a times we see that within our organizations or for specific positions, we definitely get some, I would say not mishires, but I would say kind of profiles which are not fitting in the bill. And many a times we get very, I would say, attractive candidates whom we would like to hire, but then there are certain constraints in terms of budgets or certain other constraints in terms of their relocation and other things. It majorly boils down to what kind of hirings we have to do and what kind of medium or the mode we want to use for. So what I have seen in experience is for senior level positions, I think your social networking or your HR professional groups, they really help a lot. Apart from the LinkedIn circle. So I'm talking about the practical aspects. You might post that job on LinkedIn or IM Jobs or any other portal. But what I've seen is that the close group circles, they really help and pitch in a lot in a very short span of time. And when you're going for mass hiring, then definitely you should run campaigns. You should probably go to different parts of India, look for the mixed kind of hires which you want, because I know that as a part of the IR objective also, you don't need people from specific location and all that. And when you want to go for a specific niche level kind of hiring, definitely the job portals will help. But what I have seen many a times, as an applicant also, when you look for certain jobs on a job portal, what attracts you? I think that's a big question. Again, we need to ask to ourselves. If I am an applicant, why I will apply for a specific job and why not for the other? So as a TA professional, as an HR professional, we need to be very focused that what kind of job roles and responsibilities we're putting for that position. Many a times I have heard my fellow friends and colleagues saying that this position seemed to be for a CHRO level. I don't know why they had put it for a lead position. So many responsibilities were put up. I don't think so it is practical. We're talking about the Gen Z and millennials, and they are actually very, very smart people on this earth. We might not be that smart. They know very well that this is just a job profile to create the wow factor for the senior or the top management, but this is not the exact job which I am supposed to do or the person is supposed to do. So we need to be very practical. If it is a lead profile, if it is a support profile, if it is actually the top management profile, then all those specific job role responsibilities should be put in. That really attracts people and that really makes or gives them confidence that yes, I think I am about to join the right organization. So yes, different sources are there, but you also need to see how you're actually using those sources and in what way. Many a times we run campaigns for the hiring of mass executives or people, but then somewhere the branding, somewhere the positioning is not that right, so they move from your kiosk to someone else's kiosk and then there they get hired. You also need to be cognizant of the fact that what kind of salary budgets or the you have the CTC bracket with you, what kind of positioning you're doing as an employer as compared to the other employers. So all these things, they matter a lot.
Thank you. Absolutely, I vouch for it, that we have to be an attractive organization so that the candidates select us. That's how the world has evolved, and HR also has to evolve. I will like to ask, what are the challenges to all the panelists, whoever wants to answer, that after the evolution of the digitalization, what challenges are they facing for hiring, or has it helped in a better way?
I think one of the biggest challenge, if you see, was mass scale hiring. So when you look at largely the IT industry, majority of the big organizations has democratized the process through their qualifier test at national level. So that was a big challenge. How do you create that logistic, that workforce, etc., to reach out across India for hiring that talent. And with the national qualifier test and others, it's completely democratized at this level. So technology is helping. When I talked about this IT industry, roughly 5 million people work. Even if you don't hire anybody new, you have 1 million position to fill. If you take roughly 20% attrition, that as a backfill. Our challenge is more about, those platforms are there, the scalability is there, that software part. Another key important challenge that I feel, and this is for all of us, because majority of us are working in HR world, one of the critical skills that all of us need to possess is social leadership skills. So when we are going to hire in future at a different level, at a senior level, one of the questions would not be, do you bring a domain expertise? Because it's given after 20 years, if Raj is good at performance management, so what? But if Raj is as good as CFO is, as CFO when it comes to finance, then somebody will stand up and take note. So it's very important that we build our social skills, social leadership skills, and that will act as an attraction. Because either we have a strong brand, some companies have a strong brand. So if you want to work for FANG, so if people say Google, so you don't need an explanation. But if you say, I want to work with XYZ enterprise, it needs an explanation. So CHROs, HR heads, leads, they need to make sure that they become brand ambassadors of their organization. When you talk to recruiters, it's nobody's helping them how to position your own organization. Talk to half of them. Do they understand what they are hiring and who they are hiring for? When it comes to numbers, do they know how we make money in the organization? Do they understand the talent ecosystem, both from acquisition and retention standpoint? And half of them, or majority of them will struggle. They will have no idea in terms of how their own company is making money. So these are few of the democratization has happened. Another challenge was what we bring to the table as a skill set was a big challenge. But through academic interface program, majority of the big setups, they have done the tie-up with the educational institution across the country. And it is a hybrid teaching. So they are training the faculty there. So lot of workforce, the supply pool is being built through academic interface program. Democratization has happened, but the social leadership skills for recruiters, for CHROs is going to play a critical role in attraction, because people like to work with some of the people. And if they see that X person is working with this organization, there must be something good about it. So that's where we should all work on. That's my thinking.
Thank you, sir. So I completely agree with it that we need to build that culture where we train our people first, and then we get in touch with the candidates so that they have a feel of the selfness before joining the organization. So of course, and yes, rightly train people so that they rightly hire the correct or the right talents. So that is very much important. Training, learning and development plays a very important role over here. I think we are done with the questions. I would request the audience. Mic, please.
Hi, everyone. So I think one aspect that I found really, really interesting, sir, when you said that when we hire an employee, so we are able to identify, let's say 6 years down the line, I see some spark in him and tomorrow is going to be the leader of the organization. I also saw this video where Satya Nadella was, expressing the same thing, that I went through the organization, I went through the process of learning, growing and evolving. And one day my bosses told me that you can be the CEO, because they saw that potential in him. So according to you, what is the process that an HR professional goes through, or is there a scientific process or a technology that we employ to kind of see that spark? Okay, that boss today this person is here. Let's say 6 years down the line, this person is going to be the leader of the organization, and he will grow like that, the high potential people. I have one more question. I was at the Women Economic Forum platform some months back, and I saw that when my turn came to come on the platform as a panel speaker and share my views about HR, there was someone in the audience who actually started laughing because they're like, yaar, what are HR guys going to do? You know, because even during the layoff season, I've also gone through the newspaper reading. They say HR is one function we can do away with immediately. So, but I obviously genuinely do not feel that because all of us are here, are very passionate about HR. So according to you, ladies and gentlemen, what according to you is that one reason because of which the need of the HR is never going to go away, and it's a very solid role, and an organization will always need an HR function. I mean, it's not something that we can underestimate. It's not something that we can take lightly. Yeah.
Sure, I'll pick up the first question. I think that's a very interesting question, and mostly talked about question when we talk about the talent management or talent development. So if you actually have to see and probably take a call whether the new hire, whom you're trying to actually hire or imbibe in the organization, has that spark or has that match, I think we should religiously start using psychometric tests. Now, you can develop them in-house if you have the capability, if you have industrial psychologists. I'm not talking about the clinical psychologists, but you can always start hiring. There's a new practice which is coming up within manufacturing organizations. I'm sure the IT industries and the service industries can also start adapting to it. Hire industrial psychologists and start creating your in-house psychometric tests. If you cannot do that, then definitely rely on the partners like SHL, and then you have Hogan, you have Caliper, you have so many assessment tools. Depending on the pricing, you can go for them, Jombe, and so many tools. And I think also I have heard about Metal, who has typed with Mercer. Psychometric tests, they give you a brief idea about the personality traits, but then it is very important that you should also choose the psychometric test with respect to the competencies you need for the specific job role. Now, that is very, very important piece where an HR professional has to actually spend some time and give that input to the psychometric assessment partner or to that industrial psychologist. Now, very quickly, I'm moving on that you will get a 1-pager or 2-pager report. Now, normally those reports, they are either in our mailboxes or in our folders, and neither an input of that report is shared with the hiring manager who has sought for that profile, and neither it is never shared with the person. So there a major gap starts building in. I was talking and I mentioned about 30, 60, 90. Why 30, 60, 90? Why don't you have regular connect and reviews with that specific person who has been hired within the organization? And when an organization, I've seen this through so many years of my, I would say, stint and experiences, that as a leader, as an HR leader, we actually fail many a times in identifying these sparks because we don't pay any heed or attention to the high performers. So when you talk about the top talent, the top 3 quadrants, so there are 2 metrics we all know, potential and the performance. Performance is being measured normally as a part of your annual performance review. What about the potential? Do you have any measurement of measuring the potential within the organization? When you talk about identifying and managing talent within the organization, do you actually look at their aspiration? Do you actually look at the engagement piece, which we're talking about, how engaged they are? Many a times we have seen as an organization that your top talent, they leave the organization because they are not actually engaged. They have very high potential, they're performing very well, but they don't feel or see themselves aligned with the organization. So, talent reviews. Now, this is something which is coming up very, I would say, an important process within most of the organizations. A lot of manufacturing organizations are doing it. So, what are talent reviews? Do you do regular, frequent talent reviews, or you do just once in a while talent reviews? And in talent reviews, do you actually have the bucketization of your top talent within the functions? Or do you do talent reviews at an organization level? So function-wise talent reviews, do that, and then build up that succession pipeline. These are very known terms, but when you actually do them in a very practical way, you will see a clear picture of your sparks within the organization. There will be no doubt about it. But you have to use certain tools. And just coming down to the second question, I'm sure my fellow colleagues will also throw some light on that. I am absolutely sure that HR as a function is the most important function within any organization. I have 200% confidence in this. And this is the kind of confidence you have to give to the business. And this will only come when HR as a function will play a true business partner role. A true business partner role will not be played by only numbers. For example, I have hired X number of people, I have delivered these many training hours, or I have processed the salary on time, or I have resolved these many IR issues. This is not an HR business partner role. For my, I would say for my understanding, an HR business partner role will be a role which will help the business to grow, which will become a partner when there is a challenging situation where the production guys, where the operation guys, where the sourcing guys, where the marketing guys are actually facing challenge, whether in terms of hiring the right talent, the best talent, or probably upskilling their people, or probably going for a M&A, merger and acquisition, or going for any important strategic process within the organization. There the promoters start believing, yes, the HR is actually the most important function within the organization. These are my personal thoughts.
Thank you so much for the opinion.
I think for the last 10, 15 years, I was expecting that I'd be asked to hire a robot instead of a human being, and it has not happened. And I was also hearing a lot about HR would be dead by 2020. You know, some of the books were also there on that. And still, I have not been fired, so it's 20. Now, what you have said, you know, while we will say it is important, because we work in HR function is important, but we need to see it from a larger perspective. When we see the CEO's job, what is his job? You know, one is revenue side, your top line and bottom line, the CFO. So first job is that. Second is people development. Third is creating a future leadership pipeline. Now, who is good at that? People side of it. And the third is developing leadership pipeline. Is it the CFO who is great at that? But who is more respected in organization? Is it CFO or CHRO? CFO. So, is there any game in the world, any game, wherein a scorecard keeper is respected more than the coach of the player? Is there any game in the world? Now this has shifted, because in 2005-06, our problem was when we were getting a seat at the boardroom, we were not very good at numbers. So when I say business acumen essentially means your ability to anticipate global trends. Know the language of business, that is P&L understanding, commercial savviness, pricing ability. Second is, key aspect is change management skills. Your ability to take all the stakeholders along. You use Six Sigma, you use Deming principles, you use any of the stuff. Domain expertise is one. The problem, 10, 15 years back was HR people focused on their domain only, not on the other skills. But things has changed in the last decade. We have seen some of the people, I think Unilever is one of the finest example, wherein somebody got a seat at the, at that level from HR itself, CHR, and now that person is heading an organization at a global level. So, is HR going to be dead? Answer is no. Few years down the line, you will hear, it would be in the news flashing, bring human back in human resources. So, it's going to be imperative. This will become far more important, because your body cannot function without the heart. When you talk about the culture, who will do that? Your CFO is going to do that. Your operations guy is going to do that. Who will build that? When you say, build a supply pool, who will build that? Talent development, the softer skills that we talk about. So it's not going to be that. And those who are laughing, let them laugh, because we should laugh. It makes us healthy, because this wellness is also going to play a critical role. Happiness is going to play a critical role. And this is already a multi-billion-dollar industry. Huge opportunity in this space. So in my view, at least in my lifetime, 10 more years to go if, in case I continue to work, is not going to be dead. That's my view. But
Again, like there are certain roles and activities which HR is doing in an organization. And are those roles and activities are going to be removed or going to abolish? I don't think so. Until and unless those activities are NVA, non-value added activities. Any valuable activity which is required to run an organization and remain competitive and take it to the next step, those all activities will continue. As Raj said, that hiring the right talent, developing the talent, minimizing the cost of manpower, or improving the productivity, improving the engagement, all those key activities which traditionally HR is being doing and maybe in the different forms are going to continue in the organization. Now, I also know there are many organizations which doesn't have any HR department because that activity is either CEO is doing or CIO is doing or CFO is doing or plant head is doing or somebody else is doing. Okay. So as long as HR, now it again depends upon the individual. If you are able to create your value in the organization, your role will expand. You will be assigned with the more business-related activities which will help the organization. Now, if HR start playing the role of yes man, I'm sorry to say, that in that organization, definitely HR will vanish.
Yeah. I have one question. If we keep the psychometrics tests apart, so we have many tools in recruitment, AI-enabled tools for this talent acquisition, everything. So is there any tool any organization is using in the panel which somehow help in matching the culture? That's another aspect talent acquisition is required to take care, because matching the skill set is one aspect, but sometimes that is not enough. We also match the culture. So is there any tool available? Just like to keep psychometric apart. Yes, psychometric tests do help in checking the inclusion, affiliation, collaboration part a little bit, but then we have to benchmark our culture in this respect. I don't know how many organizations are ready for that at the moment. But is there any tool available to just match the culture while hiring the candidate?
I'll briefly answer this. So psychometric partners, they will actually sell this piece also to you, or they have sold it to us many a times, that we'll try to predict your attrition numbers. We'll try to predict the best cultural fitment or mapping. Ideally, that can be only done if you customize that psychometric tool, and that involves a lot of investment of time and money both. And if you want to do it on a smaller scale, what I mentioned, either hire or probably take the services of psychologists and build an in-house brief psychometric assessment questionnaire or statements which actually are aligning with your cultural piece. You can definitely get some good insights. You can probably experiment this.
But these tools are not part of any AI or those kind of recruitment.
They can be integrated.
Yeah, can be integrated.
They can be integrated.
Yeah, thank you.
So maybe, Devashish, on culture aspect, I think another tool which we all have been very popularly using is the behavior interviews. So your interviews are trained on taking the behavior based questions and interviews, and those are aligned to the cultural aspect of your organization. Say, for example, I work with Amazon, and then popularly we have 16 leadership traits. So entire your, right from hiring to your growth in the organization depends on how are you behaving and how are you performing on those 16 leadership traits. So at the hiring stage itself, all the interviewers have been trained at how you will evaluate the candidate on these leadership traits. There are leading questions. There are right fitment of your culture, your individual assessment with the organization assessment, so that we have to ensure that any candidate we are hiring for that candidate for growing and succeeding in the organization, not to fail in the organization. So cultural assassination, I think it is one of the most important part. The skills you can develop, knowledge you can avail, but cultural aspect you cannot align.
Hey, one last question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I had two questions, but then I'll concise that to, restrict to one question. Doing work, I mean, every company have your own, proprietary ways of, recognizing the talent. Arushi pretty much asked similar question that I wanted to ask, but the question is, I want to communicate to that employee very clearly that, to all the employees, that doing work for what you get, you do work for what you get paid for, you meet expectations that way, but then you do work beyond what you get paid for leads to promotions. How do we communicate this clearly in a nice way to the employees? There are multiple tools. I had second question as well, but then, yeah. Please.
I think saying this, that you're promoted for something you do which is over and beyond, when you go out of the box. This is a culture. And culture, when you look at it, it's not what your value system says in theory. It is what people do when nobody is watching, right? And this seeps in, because if you are relationship-based organization, you create that spectrum wherein social groups are created, and within those social groups, you get the growth. And there is alignment, realignment with similar set of people. Then there is a culture based on meritocracy. Now there are large number of organizations, blue chips, wherein it is about meritocracy. And your rewards are aligned, not because your boss likes you, but because you're performing. And how do you know you're performing? It is transparent. So on an average, every team leader has roughly 10 odd people to look at. Now, even if you do a survey within those 10 people and ask all 10 people who is number one, number two, number three in terms of performance, your top 2, 3 will stand out. Everybody will give their names only. So this is how you identify and promote those people. And then create this as a motivation for others as well. So there is no hard way of doing it. It is a softer way, because this is what I say, leadership is not to get the things done, what you want to get done because others want to do it. To create that want in others is a leadership. No force, nothing. Thanks.
Thank you. Would you mind if I ask the second question that's lingering in my mind, or no?
Because we just have, you can ask for a minute, no problem.
Well, the question is, our idea, our product is about empowering. The primary objective when we started off, building or conceiving this idea is to empower the job seekers, create a platform that will empower the job seekers. So how would HR community see a job seeker using a third-party platform, presenting their interview in a social media platform, snippets of the interview, may not be the entire interview. So out of 20, 30 questions, 1 or 2 questions are sprinkled onto LinkedIn. How would HR community perceive that? And then do you think it'll give more mileage to the job seeker in terms of promoting themselves, campaigning themselves? Well, that's the end of question. Yeah.
I need some more clarity on the question. I was trying to understand it. So you're mentioning about...
So let's say I'm a job seeker. I attended the interview on a third-party platform. I'm not promoting my product now.
You're a job seeker, okay.
Yeah, I'm a job seeker. I attended an interview on, let's say, LinkedIn Talent Solutions. I know LinkedIn has Talent Solutions.
Right.
So now that video, out of 20 or 30 questions that I answered, I know that's not there in LinkedIn, by the way, but yeah. So out of 20, 30 questions that I attended, if the platform provides individual snippets of the videos for each question and answer, if I put that one question and answer into, let's say, LinkedIn platform or any other social media platform, do you think, wherever the HR groups are, do you think that will give more mileage to the job seeker in terms of reach out, in terms of employers? Because our slogan is, let the job find you.
Absolutely. I think you have highlighted a very important point. And nowadays, I think IM jobs, when you try to go there as an applicant, it always asks you for a couple of jobs that you have to create a video profile right? So that is a very small snippet of what you're trying to probably mention here right now. So here, I think the most important piece, what you're trying to focus upon is that if such a technology-enabled short snippets of the interactions as an applicant, as a job seeker, I put that on my LinkedIn profile or any other portal. So that will definitely give not the mileage, number one, but also that will give a lot of confidence and clarity to the recruiter that whether this person is able to match with my requirement or not. And those specific video snippets can be shared with the specific hiring manager as well. So yes, I think it's a good idea if this can be done. And I'm sure that with technology creeping in so fast, the applicants or the job seekers, they can definitely accept this change.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so all right, everyone. I think all the discussion and all the question answer has been already done. And if you guys have any question, thereafter we have a lunch break. So you guys can ask them, you can go directly to them. Okay, so let's proceed for our felicitation ceremony. And for this, I would like to call on stage, please put your hands together for Mr. D.K. Praveen Kumar, co-founder and managing partner from Multi Recruit. Can we have a huge round of applause for him? Okay, so let's start the felicitation. For this first slide, firstly, I would like to call Mr. Abhishek Khare. Can we have a huge round of applause for Mr. Abhishek Khare? Okay, so after this, we have Mr. Amit Raina. Can we have a huge round of applause, everyone? Now, Mr. Raj Gupta. Mr. Abhay Kapoor. Last but not the least, we have the lady over here, Ms. Jigna Manish Bhanushali. Can we have a huge round of applause for our moderator? Thank you so much, Mr. D.K. Praveen, for joining us. And you all can have a photograph. Okay, so after this, it's time for the lunch. You guys can do the networking and speed meetings. And